and
He
probably
was-
didn't have a team.
He was there when Pulisic was there.
Where was he at prior to Dortmund then? What got him to
Mainz.
Dortmund? How'd he do there?
I mean, okay for Mainz. I mean, it was basically the same thing that Klopp did. Literally. Until he went to PSG, it was literally the same thing that Klopp did.
They just bought him from Mainz because they bought Klopp from Mainz.
Yeah.
Dude,
Mainz
Dortmunds are
had...
retarded.
Dude.
That's the dumbest shit I've heard in my life.
Mainz had Kimmich, Gnabry, and... I always forget the third person. But they had those three players, and they all got poached from their youth academies. And
Were they at Mainz or Stuttgart?
maybe... Oh, shit. I always get that mixed up. I can see the symbol, and I thought it was Mainz. But I know that Klopp went from Mainz to Dortmund, and then when Klopp left, they brought in this manager. Tuchel was doing solid at Mainz. So then they're like, okay, you're doing well there, you can come here. Which is exactly what they're doing with Gladbach's coach now, where they're like, okay, you're doing good there, you can come here now.
Gladbach, the coach, he's been doing well the past
Marco
years.
Rose, yeah.
Yeah, he's had a good squad too.
Yeah, he's also about developing players, which is like Dortmund's whole thing. Which Tuchel kind of isn't. Like,
yeah.
So it was
Chilwell's
weird.
also only 22. When we forget that as well,
Yeah.
he's still a youth player, kind of.
I bet he feels sick right now, though, considering he left Leicester for $50 million, and they're higher in the table right now, and they were doing far better than them a couple weeks ago. And now he's probably still sick because now that Chelsea are doing well, he's not even in the team.
Yeah. Where does that put him? His mentality.
Yeah.
So, do you think he's like he'll just stay on for another year until he decides he wants to leave, or unless he gets game time?
Shit, dude.
Because with the way
United
Alonso's playing,
if United didn't have a Tellez already, I could have seen United going in for Chilwell as a backup to Shaw for this summer, if that was still an option. But Chilwell, I don't think anyone wants him back. I mean, I don't think Leicester need him anymore. And then maybe Arsenal. But Arsenal, I don't think have the money for that. Liverpool, but they've got Andy Robertson. So I think Chilwell is kind of stuck. I think you're right. I think he'll have to stay another year, bide his time, and then see how it goes. Like, if Alonso gets injured, that's really good for Chilwell, and he'll play every game. But and Alonso is also really old, so I don't know. I think Chilwell is in a really bad spot right now, if I'm going to be honest.
for the time being, yeah. He could even go back to Leicester.
Yeah, but Leicester, they have... Well, maybe he could go left back, because then James Justin will just play right back, but...
Or move up to a right mid. But James Justin attacks more than he defends, and he's more effective at attacking than defending.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know. It's kind of weird. And then Odegaard, I think, started for Arsenal yesterday in the Europa League. I don't know. Yeah, I watched like 10 minutes of it.
I feel bad for him.
I had to turn it off.
I feel bad for him, dude. They have they have to play two defensive mids because they only have two center midfielders in the team, or three.
Yeah.
Ceballos, Xhaka, and Partey. That's
Which is so weird though, because if you have Partey, you should be able to play Odegaard and Smith Rowe as two 10s. That would be insane.
Partey's a box to box, dude.
Yeah, I know, but he was supposed to be this amazing CDM that was coming in.
But in a double pivot, I don't think he's ever played lone six. He's only
when
ever played in a double pivot.
When he first started at Atletico, he was a lone six, and then they moved him to like a box to box in a double pivot with Sal.
Yeah, I just feel like Partey's too effective at both to be singled to one though, at attacking and defending to be.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's what Atleti found out, because they were only having him as a sole six and having Koke ahead of him, right?
Yeah.
And then Sal broke into the team from their academy, or I think from their academy, and then he came on, and I think he scored 2 goals against Real Madrid and scored 2 goals against Barca. When he first came on that first season, and then they started playing the two of them as a double pivot, so that they could both go up. But I agree with you. He's a box to box, but I think he has the ability to play as a CDM on his own if it comes down to desperate measures. But
yeah, I see what you mean.
But again, like we were talking, there's not really that many CDMs in the entire world right now. That like Matic is really the last sole CDM who is only a CDM.
Yeah, they're growing out of fashion.
Which is weird because everyone seems to be needing them right now.
Well, I think what happens is because of the high demand in center backs, some center defensive mids might be swallowed back into the back line. Eric Dyer. James Garner is one of the only holding mid prospects I can think of. I mean, Declan Rice, yeah.
Fuck Declan Rice, man.
I know, but
He's so overrated.
he is a holding mid. I'd say Ndidi's a true holding mid. Rodri for sure.
Yeah, Rodri. Oh, I forgot about him.
Fabinho, no doubt. But even then, he started out as the fullback.
Yeah. Fabinho?
Mm-hmm.
The tall guy for Liverpool.
He played fullback for Monaco in that season.
Really?
Something he would play defensive mid, and because it was
He's so slow though.
yeah, it was either him and Bakayoko at defensive mid, or he would play right back.
But even all those players you still named though, they still all of them play in like a double pivot. Like Fabinho still gets up pretty like when Liverpool is fully fit. Fabinho still gets up pretty far.
He never gets in front of the ball though. That's the difference. You'll see McTominay get in front of the ball asking for a pass.
Yeah, I mean, he did that last night, and he almost scored off it. But
yeah, but I mean that goes to my point that he's not a holding mid. Holding mid stay behind the entire play.
Yeah,
as they're like a first back line.
Fred is a holding mid, but he's not a true CDM. Like you couldn't play him alone.
No, he's a weird one for sure. He might be. He's definitely not as good as Pirlo, but he's that Regista type player where like you just shelve through the line in the back.
Yeah.
You're not you'll press a little bit, but you sit in the hole. Like that's where I think he could thrive. But
Fernandinho is also a really good CDM, but he's old now, so he's just kind of playing whenever. But yeah, Rodri. I don't think Rodri is also good enough to play a holding mid on his own because De Bruyne is whenever they play. That the 4-2 or the 4-3-3 or the 4-2-3-1, whatever they play, the De Bruyne does come back a solid amount unless he's playing the 10. Then I think it's Gundogan who plays there. But I don't think Rodri is good at like he can play a holding mid, but I don't think he's good enough to be a sole holding mid. I think he has to have someone beside him as well.
Rodri,
yeah, or at least close enough to him.
Oh, he's had De Bruyne and Bernardo in front of him the whole year.
I thought Bernardo was out on the left, or coming in as a false nine.
That was in the winter window, but the beginning of the year, he would be phased into the midfield. It was mainly De Bruyne, Rodri, and it was either Silva or who was starting, because Gundogan didn't start playing until late.
No, he didn't start playing until he came in and started scoring at will.
But I feel like Rodri is a decent loan. He's 6'3". And the thing is, when your passing supersedes your defensive capabilities and you are defensively capable, you're a defensive mid. That's like Rodri being 6'3".
Against United, City played Rodri and Fernandinho in the midfield together. And then against Spurs, where they lost to Spurs 2-0, they played... Yeah, you're right. Rodri, De Bruyne, and Bernardo Silva with Jesus, Fernan Torres, and Mahrez. So, he would play like a 4-3-3, and De Bruyne would be beside Rodri. So, like, Rodri would be like more of the holding player, but De Bruyne was more of like a double pivot.
You see that though in a 4-3-3. You need this is what they had at Juventus: the box to box and Vidal, the holding mid and Pirlo, and the attacker and Pogba. Pogba's never coming back. Let's say that's Bernardo.
Yeah.
The box to box, Vidal and De Bruyne in the same type of system, but Rodri doesn't get forward, so that's why I would say he's the lone 6.
And then they played Gundogan, Rodri, De Bruyne, Torres, and Mahrez together. Maybe that's why they got beat 2-0 by Spurs, is because they were only playing him as one. Because any other time they played 2, they don't get scored on.
They didn't have Diaz yet, and Laporte was out.
Next one was City, Liverpool, and they played Raheem Sterling, Gundogan, Rodri, De Bruyne, and Torres. And they had Diaz and Laporte as center backs.
That was against
Liverpool. And it was 1-1. But against, who did I say, Spurs?
Spurs, they played the double pivot.
Yeah. Spurs, they played just Rodri holding, and they played De Bruyne up, they played Rodri, De Bruyne, and Bernardo in the midfield, and they lost 2-0, and they had Diaz and Laporte as center backs. So in the game that they had him as a sole holding midfielder, they lost. And then the next game, and then against Arsenal, they won 1-0. They played a 3-back with Diaz, Ake, and Kyle Walker, and then their midfield was Rodri, Cancelo, Foden, Mahrez, Bernardo Silva. So I guess that one he was definitely a holding. With 2 wingbacks, and Kyle Walker playing center back was a weird one.
He did that for England too.
Yeah. I know he's been doing that for England. So. And then the game that they lost to Leicester, let's see, where they lost 5-2.
Kyle Walker's not that effective going forward. You kind of want him to be the track back guy if his pace is being utilized to go forward.
Yeah, I agree. And then, okay, so then against Leicester, right, they were down 2 goals. They were down 2-0. Took off Fernandinho, so they played a back line of Kyle Walker, Nathan Ake, Benjamin Mendy, and Eric Garcia. That's a really rough
They were
back
struggling.
line. They had Laporte on the bench, and then they played Rodri, De Bruyne, Fernandinho, Mahrez, Phil Foden, and Sterling. Right? They took Fernandinho off in the 51st minute, down 2-0. 53rd minute, Vardy scores. 58th minute, he scores again, and then in the 88th minute, Tielemans got a penalty, and that's the game that Vardy got 3 penalties. But so after they put Rodri as a sole, because Fernandinho came off, and Liam Delap came on. So when they played Rodri as a sole 6, then I assume it was a sole 6 anyway. They got scored on 3 times, but that back line also doesn't help him. So
not at all. The only thing that was containing Leicester up until then was Fernandinho's positioning.
it was him and Fernandinho, yeah. Against Palace, they played Fernandinho, Gundogan, and De Bruyne, and they won 4-0. And then, let's see, they played Liverpool recently, and they played Diaz, Stones, Zinchenko, Cancelo, and they played Rodri, Bernardo, Gundogan, Raheem Sterling, Riyad Mahrez, and Phil Foden. So, okay, that was the first game of the year that they played him as a sole 6, and they won.
With a healthy back line.
With a fully healthy back line, yeah.
Yeah.
So, then they played Spurs the next week, and they played Rodri, Bernardo, Gundogan, basically the same team except for Diaz. They put in Laporte, and they won 3-0. So, yeah, I think Rodri is, with a fully healthy back line, he is a good CDM.
Well, he's definitely more of a passing midfielder than defensive as opposed to Fernandinho. So that's more than likely where that comes from.
Kind of like Busquets.
Yeah. Well, I never really watched Busquets' defensive play. I never saw if he dropped into the back line or if he just stood there like a mannequin.
Okay. He just sits in front of him the whole time. Yeah, dude. I don't really...
That's what Pep played too, was that lone 6. So you think he'll probably shape Rodri into
you would think
a decent 6.
You would think.
We got a hunch.
I can't believe he wanted Fred as well. I mean, it makes sense because I think Fred could have been like another Fernandinho, but...
I think Fred fits like a glove in Liverpool's or Brighton's midfield too.
Oh, and Liverpool's without question.
Yeah.
Fred is literally like... They should have got Fred instead of Naby Keita, and they would have been solid.
Dude, Fred would be a top prospect if he played in Brighton's midfield. Like he'd be higher than Bissouma.
He'd literally be Bissouma right now.
Yeah,
he'd be better than Bissouma, but that literally what Bissouma is right now is what Fred would be.
Yeah,
if he went to Brighton. Yeah, has that Moises Caicedo guy even played for Brighton yet?
I haven't heard about him or heard his name since we dropped him. So
yeah.
It'd be surprising if he went straight into Brighton's academy with all that hype. If he just went straight into playing with the U's.
Yeah, but I mean, it could be the same thing as Palestri, though. You're coming from a country where the quality is not that great, so you got to go into U23s, get used to it, and then.
Yeah, but he had more hype.
Palestri, that's another one who's gone to